In today's video, we will be taking an unboxing and an overview of the Gamdias Aura GC7. Now this is an ATX case. It has two RGB fans at the front, which are 120mm, and also 120mm RGB fan at the back. Now they are fixed rather than customizable, in terms of you can't customize, and you can't actually customize the colors. They're just a fixed rainbow colors, but it's not bad. Now I paid £40 for this case, which I think is actually a pretty decent deal, and it also comes with tempered glass. It comes with a mesh front and has the PSU shroud as well, and kind of all those sort of like modern goodies that obviously we kind of expect on modern cases now. But it comes in at that really low £40 price point, which I think is really great. So without further ado, let's get this thing unboxed and let's take an actual look at it. Hey guys, so just while I'm unboxing here, I just want to say I hope you really did I hope you really will stick with me, guys, and I'm glad to be back right now, because it's been a little while since I did a video, so obviously be patient with me with this video. It's going to be, it's a little bit difficult coming back, but I'm sure it's actually going to work out quite good. And I'm glad to be back now, and actually glad to be making videos again, because we took a bit too long out, if I'm being honest, out the game, and I kind of was missing this, if I'm honest. My PCs are my passion, so it's actually really great to kind of come back to my passion again, and I want this channel to be a passion project. So thanks for the support again, guys, and let's carry on with the video. And so guys, here we have it, the Gamdias. I think it's Gamdias how you say it. I've not really heard of this brand either. It's Gamdias, I think it is. I'll put it at the bottom of the screen as well, just in case. It's the Aura GC7. I think it has like other letters behind it as well, but I'll put it all below the exact model and what have you. So if you're new to this channel, basically I go around all the different sides of the case, and obviously the back, the rear as well, and obviously the front as well we talk about. And it's basically just an overview video, just to kind of get an idea of what this case is and whether it's for you or not, basically. So I hope you like it, guys. Let's start off where we always start off, at the front. Personally, I actually really quite like the front. Again, some people styling wise might not like this, but if I put that a little bit more into the view, so basically it has all the mesh here for your intake, for your two intake fans, which are pre-installed as well, so that's all obviously a nice little touch as well. As I said, this case is very much targeted towards budget users, or system builders, I would say. It's probably the absolutely ideal kind of like target audience, I'd say here, because obviously £40 is kind of like no money nowadays. Really it is for system builders, but you can obviously use this as your own personal case as well. So there is that option as well, and I think for most people it's going to be fine for what it is. So personally I quite like the front. As I said, it has the RGB fans here. I think you just take off the bottom here, so there you go. Yeah, so basically all the cables and what have you are at the front here, so I'm not going to be able to show you too much, but there we go. So there you can see the fans, hopefully. So two 120mm fans there behind the perforated mesh. Now looking at the mesh, there isn't actually a separate dust filter there, which is a little bit unfortunate, so you will kind of have to just be mindful of that, and just basically just make sure, let me just put this in, there we go. So basically just be mindful of that, and just make sure you're regularly dusting out the case if you do purchase this case. Now in terms of the fan support at the front, I think you can actually get free 120mm fans here at the front, but 140mm fans look like a no-no to me. It's actually not a very wide case, it's actually quite a short case as well, not particularly tall. So yeah, but I think most people are just going to stick with the installed 120mm fans, the two of them, and the pre-installed ones, and just leave it like that personally. So yeah, I think overall that's not a problem, so fairly happy with the front. The top of the case, we have a mesh filter here, which is obviously quite nice to see, and we have support for what looks like, to me it looks like, two 120 fans or two 140 fans at the top here, but again I'll put all the details below just to make sure. Now in terms of radiator support, which I haven't talked about yet, officially this case only supports one 120mm fan radiator at the back, or AIO at the back. So there isn't actually any official support at the front or the top for AIOs or radiators. So really this is for your air coolers only, really. So if you're using one of those sort of tower CPU coolers, which is air cooler, then that's kind of where this case is. And I would say water cooling or AIOs is kind of out of the question with this case, but I think for most people, as it's a budget case, they kind of accept that, so that's fine. In terms of the I/O that you get here, it is very basic, guys, but I think kind of by now you kind of know that with the cases that I look at, the budget cases, you're always going to kind of get basic I/Os because that's just the way it is. Big clicky power button, which is nice. Reset button, which doesn't click, but anyway. Then you've got two USB 2 ports here, which are in between the headphone jack and the microphone jack. So it's nice that they actually split that up rather than have a combined one, because the combined one's just a bit annoying, in my opinion. And then you get one USB 3 port at the very right hand side here, which is a little bit disappointing. I'd rather just see two USB 3 ports at the front, but it is what it is. It's a cheap case, so you can kind of get away with that. I think that's fine. So moving around to the rear of the case, which is our 120mm fan at the rear here, which is pre-installed. It's the RGB fixed one again, as I was talking about. So two at the front, one at the back that you get pre-installed, which is fine. There's no room for 140mm, but again, I can't see many people wanting 140mm at the back really, so I'm not really concerned about that. Here is our I/O cutout, which again is standard. And then we have our 7 breakaway PCIe slots. These are breakaway ones, like I said, so they're the one-use snap-off type ones, which you always get on budget cases. You know, I don't love these ones, but they're okay. There's also like a little kind of sort of like holder clip thing here as well, which you can take out with one of those screws, and then it comes out. I don't love these sort of things, but again, they're kind of just sort of standard with budget cases. I would have loved the PCI slots to actually be fully removable and replaceable, so you could put them back in again, but it's a budget case, so it is what it is. PSU mounting is your standard fan down one, so your PSU fan has to face down basically to the desk or floor or whatever you put your PC case on. It can't face up, but there's the mounting for that isn't there. So just be aware of that if you are one of those PSU people who use the PSU with the fan facing up rather than the fan facing down. Just be aware of that. Moving to the very bottom of the case, we have 4 pretty decent feet actually, and they're rubberized, and they actually give you a good inch or so off the ground, so that's kind of nice if you are one of those odd people who put their PCs on the ground. You know, in my opinion, you put it on the desk, but each to their own. So we also have one of those, again, these things are a bit, no, I don't love this at all, but it's a budget case again, there's cutbacks, so you do have one of these kind of PSU dust filters, which is kind of replaceable, but it's a bit of a faff, and I really don't like these things. Again, as you can see, they're just annoying to fit back and what have you, but they work. I'd rather the ones that pull out there and then come back again, which are really easily replaceable, like the Corsair ones and your NZXT ones and stuff like that. But again, budget case, budget brand, you're going to get these sort of things. Then we have 2 screws which are holding in the hard drive caddy, which obviously you can unscrew and then the hard drive caddy will come out, but I'll show you that later on in the video. So that's pretty much the bottom there that we've done. The rear side panel does have thumb screws, although you can take them off with your thumb, so that's something. So the big question I think with budget cases, which is always my question anyway, how much cable management space is there? And when I was looking at photos of this case, I was actually thinking that there will be a fair amount, but we'll see. So, well, first of all, that side panel, very plain, nothing to it. There is a bit of a foam thing there, but again, very thin, kind of as you would expect really for a budget case, but it's fine. Now, looking at the cable management here, in honesty, there isn't much space. It is pretty limited actually. Now I look at it, I'm thinking to myself, it's probably a little bit too limited. I kind of think even running your CPU cable up and down here, if you've got any CPU cable which isn't like those very thin ones, like very thin CPU cable that runs up here, as soon as you've got any kind of fatness to your CPU cable, you're just not going to get that in, because that really is not much space at all there. Now obviously this side here, we do have a lot more space for your 24 pin, so there is a little bit more of a cable channel here, and it kind of goes back a bit, and you can kind of get a good inch or so there, or a good sort of 3 centimeters, or at least 2 centimeters. So this side isn't a problem. I think your CPU side will be a problem, but just check what PSU you have, and if your cables are thin enough, it'll be fine to run up your CPU cable there, but just be a bit wary that your EPS additional CPU power cable might be a little bit of a hard run up there. Nothing really on the back in terms of like a controller or anything for the fans, but as I said, obviously this is fixed fans, so you don't have any customizable nothing's customizable in that sense, so that is what it is. So I'm just looking at the front here, and I can see the cables through here. Basically, this was my fear, but it kind of, it's happened now. It's actually, all the fans are run by Molex, so they're all a Molex chain, which you obviously then connect in your Molex power for the fans to obviously spin. So the fans will spin at one speed, there won't be any control of them, and they are all fixed RGB, so you won't be able to control the RGB at all. Now, that is a big limitation, but again, you've got to bear in mind that this is a £40 case, and you're going to get limitations at this price point. Let's come back to actually what the positives are. There are actually quite a lot of cable tie points here, which I do like to see, because it just makes cable management a little bit easier. And potentially you could get an SSD on the back here as well if you really want to. You could probably stick one at the back. Although again, your clearance probably is going to be a bit thin there, so you might not be able to do that. Really, your SSDs need to come down to here if you are going to use SSDs, but I would say with this sort of build, going M.2 is certainly the way forward here, because there isn't really much expansion room for obviously your storage, so I would just go with an M.2 here if I was you. Now the PSU sort of distance until the hard drive caddy I think was about 160 centimeters, I think it was. So you're not going to be able to fit massive PSUs in here, although you can take out this hard drive caddy, like, as I said. And then once this hard drive caddy actually does come out, then you will have more space. In fact, I'll actually just remove that now, because I know with my build that I'm going to do anyway, is that I'm not actually going to have this hard drive caddy in, so let's just get it out now anyway. So basically, as I was just giving you a clue there is actually going to be a build video coming up here as well of this case. I'm actually going to use a Micro-ATX motherboard, which is going to be a little bit funny in an ATX case, but it will be fine, and it's all going to be compatible and everything, so that's not a problem. It just looks a little bit funny at the bottom there where you've got big space. Yeah, so this hard drive caddy thing kind of comes out very easily, and yeah, it's usable. It's not perfect. You can just fit in your one SSD at the top here, I believe, and then your one hard drive at the bottom bit there. Now I think, yeah, there is enough. There is actually like enough screw place in there to actually put an SSD at the bottom here, a 2.5 SSD at the bottom of the case if you don't want to use this mount, so you can do that as well. But again, I think with these sort of builds, I would just go M.2 now. Right, the battery just went off very suddenly there, so I'm going to have to be quick because I haven't got much battery and I haven't got particularly that much more time to film this, so it'll just have to be a quick one here. Hopefully it doesn't cut out on us again. But basically there's 4 screws on the side panel here. This is a side panel that's It doesn't actually go full height, so it actually cuts off at the PSU shroud. So some people are like that. I think it's fine. For me, it's fine. I don't mind it. The fact that the PSU shroud is all cut off is actually great as well. So yeah, there's tempered glass. It's actually quite thick. I think it's at least 4mm thick actually, that. So that's not bad at all. As I said, that's the Molex there, and those are the connectors and what have you. So HD audio, USB, and then you've got obviously your like little front panel headers, like your power on and all that sort of stuff. As I said, it's an ATX case, so you do get support for an ATX motherboard as well as Micro-ATX and obviously ITX if you really want to go to that. The PSU shroud, as I said, all cut off, so there's no little window, which is actually really nice. In terms of graphics card support, I have just quickly looked, and it's 300mm that you get, or 30cm, or 12 inches if you're not into your metric. So yeah, I think for most people that's going to be enough, you know, in terms of putting your graphics card there. I think that's going to be fine. In terms of the CPU height, in terms of your cord, I think it was like 155mm, but again I put it at the bottom of the screen. And I think the PSU support was 160, I think we said it was, for millimeters. That's before you get into that hard drive cage, so just be wary of that. I've already explained kind of the top as well, so the front and the top, and obviously your rear, which is your 120mm fan. I mean, overall I do think it's actually really quite nice. There's plenty of cable management holes as well, as you can see hopefully there. I know it's not too great, there's a kind of this bag and what have you is in the way, but you know, it's all fine, it's all there. There's even some cable ties as well actually in the bag, which is quite nice. So it's all kind of there, and I think really for a package of £40 altogether, it's just a really like a little perfect sort of system builder PC, sort of, you know, for a PC flip. This is going to be perfect really. And the RGB I think is actually going to look quite nice because it's actually on the fan blades as well. With the RGB being on the fan blades, I think it's going to look quite, you know, it's going to look a little bit better than the rainbow style, which is the one which only has like the circle round. So I think it's going to look a little bit better. But yeah, I think my battery's probably going to run out soon, so I'm really going to have to just wrap this up as quickly as I possibly can. So I hope you like that video, guys, and if there's anything more, obviously let me know in the comments below. Maybe hopefully I've not missed anything of the sort of overview here, but if I have, obviously let me know in the comments and I will answer every single comment, or at least try to. Please like the video, as I said. Please subscribe because that really helps the channel. And overall, yeah, I'm just really glad to be back, guys, and you know, hopefully you can keep joining me on this little journey that we're going on. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.